If you tell your team, oh, I care about you guys, I care about you guys, I care about, no, you don't. No, you don't. I see better than I hear. And if you're telling me that all the time, odds are I'm not seeing it. And you know I'm not seeing it, and so you keep saying it.
Run up the rats like I want them. Count up the rap, we gon' want them. Carrots, I want them opponents. Clarity beats, I see water. Talking cash out when I want them.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome back on this glorious Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday, October 1st. We are done with September. We're moving into October, ladies and gentlemen. I want to stop in today and I wanted to talk about building a culture. Now, this can be applied in sports. It could be applied in your professional career, and it could also be applied in your circle of friends. So building a culture, building the right group of people, assembling the right group of people to be around each other. Um, in my opinion, building a culture is one of the single biggest components in leadership in life. And I don't feel like it's trained enough, talked about enough. There is a lot of information out there on culture, but it's not, you have to go find it. I feel like this is something that we really should be teaching our kids, and especially in high school, and especially if you do go to college, they should be hammering this in your guys' head. I mean, they should be beating you over the head with a stick. Culture, culture, culture. How do you do it? There is a method to the madness. There is. I'm going to highlight just a couple things that I feel is very, very important. Um, One of the things I'm going to start with when it comes to building a culture is it starts with you. You as the leader, you as the husband, you as the father, you as the coach, you as the friend, whatever the case may be, it starts with you. And your team is going to resemble whatever person you are. I would recommend kindness. Now, do not mistake kindness from not having tough conversations. There is a difference. You can lead with kindness and still have tough conversations. Okay, so don't get it mixed up. But what kindness does is kindness is going to build trust. It's also going to build a psychological safety net. There's some studies done on that. When you have kindness, when people see kindness in their leader, they're like 67% more productive. Well, I mean, there's stats out there, guys. I'm not going to get into the numbers. I don't think I need to convince you guys on this stuff. But being kind as a leader is having sympathy. Now, I want to talk about something. It's just my opinion. I think one of the biggest weaknesses you can have as a leader is having empathy. Let me explain. If you have an employee that comes in, I'm gonna do it in a business setting. If you have an employee that comes in and their mom just passed away, okay, I think it's very, very healthy to understand mom passed away, big deal. That sucks. That's gonna hurt. That's probably gonna have some lingering effects. We're not gonna be able to get over this in just a few days. When the funeral's over, this probably is not gonna be over for a while. And just have that understanding as a leader so you can better help said employee. Does that make sense? I feel it's dangerous as a leader to try to put yourself in their shoes, and then now you are upset and depressed with them, but yet you still need to go lead a team. But you're drained because you're like, man, Bob's mom, Bob's mom. That's a very slippery slope, and I see a lot of leaders make this mistake. Don't make that mistake. You do not have to be empathetic to be productive. Empathy is a very dangerous thing. Very, very dangerous. Sympathy is where it's at. Passion is where it's at. Compassion is where it's at. We got to draw the line there, though, because we don't need two people to be depressed. Because that's what happens. You put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and now you're both just like, oh man, what good is that? You just need to have an understanding of what somebody's going through. You need to have the intelligence and the emotional intelligence to understand what somebody's going through, and then lead accordingly. The other thing that kindness is going to bring is it's going to bring empowerment and value. Your employees are going to feel valued, and they're going to feel empowered. Okay, that's what you're going to get out of being a kind leader. Now, little things like if you're not sure if you're a kind leader, maybe you feel like you're a kind leader, maybe you're trying to be a kind leader. Here are some of the few things I think you could focus on. Are you actively listening to your people, to your wife, to your kids, to your employees, whatever it is, Taysa? Are you actively listening? Are you listening to respond? Or are you actually giving them the time of day and hearing them out and what they're saying? Because there is a difference. One of the things that I learned a long time ago is we are very, very stroke deprived. And what I mean by that is we don't tell each other, hey, good job, man. Hey, proud of you. Hey, keep going. Hey, man, I love you. We don't ever do that enough. It's, oh, hey, man, I got a favor. Oh, man, can you do this? Oh, man, I had a rough day. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Like, it's always just it's negative, negative, negative. And we are always just looking for the next stroke, the next stroke. We are all walking around very, very stroke deprived. That's just a fact. Listening. You know how much value somebody feels like, or somebody feels when they talk to their leader, their spouse, a mentor, but they actually feel like you're listening to the words that are coming out of their mouth and you genuinely care what they're saying? Do you understand psychologically what that does for a human being? It's very, very important. And the other thing I would highly, highly encourage you is make sure you have some people that you are mentoring. Okay, one of the biggest things, anytime I would ever hire somebody, their first day, I'd always ask them the same series of questions. Every employee, all my team. And honestly, you guys, you can go fact check me on this. You can go ask any people that ever worked underneath me. They love me. Okay, I'm not just coming up here and just speaking this. You can call them up. They'll tell you. And my teams, we would kick butt with class. Shout out to Chuck Broyles, former head coach of Pitt State. That used to be his saying, kick ass with class, but kick butt with class. Anyways, but you should be mentoring, and the questions I would ask is, what do you want me to call you? That's a respect thing. Just because somebody's parent gave them a birth name doesn't necessarily mean that's what they want to be called by. What would you like me to call you? That's a respect thing. I had one guy, his name was James, and he went by Yams. And to this day in my phone, his name is Yams. I called him Yams. On the board, Yams. It was just Yams. On my conference calls, people knew I had a guy named Yams on my team. Like, it was just... it was a joke, it was a nickname, whatever, but he said it and I ran with it, and that's just what it was. But it showed my team I was very respectful. The other thing I would ask is, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you here because you want to be in that chair for the rest of your career? Are you here because you want to be in that chair and you want to learn leadership and possibly transition into leadership? Like, what brings you here? We saw we were a good fit, but what are your true dreams and aspirations now that I have you in the building? And we would have a conversation. And I would take that conversation to heart. And I always had 2 and 3 people that I was constantly had right underneath my wing. And, I was grooming them, got a couple promoted. It's just one of those things you have to invest in your team, but your team needs to see that you're investing into other people, not just you. If you invest into them, they will automatically invest into you as your leader. They will feel guilty by not investing in you. That's the culture that you want to set. I remember it got to a point, especially at Schwann's, it got to a point where I could bring somebody in the office and set them down, shut the door, and they would go ahead and just start apologizing and just come up and just tell me where they were wrong. And I never even had to tell somebody that they were wrong. I never had to do that. Never. Not a single time at Schwann's did I have to tell somebody that they were wrong when I got into leadership. They always came and sat down and told me, hey, man, I'm sorry. I'm letting you down. Hey, man, I understand. I want to get to the bottom of it so we can find a solution. You have a wife and kids. I don't want to do this to you. Dude, I care about you genuinely, man, but as you can see, you're tying my hands up a little bit here. So before my boss starts calling me, I want to come and have a conversation. That's how I led my team, guys. That's literally how I did it, and had massive success at it. Highly recommended. The other thing is, how often are you celebrating your team? And what do I mean by that is celebrating them for their wins, and not celebrating their wins on a phone with your boss. There's a difference. Celebrating the wins with the team when your boss isn't around, because you care at the bottom of your heart. There's a difference. And let's get into a little bit about personality fits, because this stuff really, really matters. This matters a lot. Every team needs an alpha. That's just a fact. But you can't have too many. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of butting heads. That's just the nature of the beast. You need to understand that. You need to understand who your alphas are and who they're not. Okay? I highly recommend getting a comedian. You need the comedy person in the room. Male or female, it doesn't matter. Male or female in these people, it doesn't matter. I've seen alpha females that would outwork men all day long, and I've seen the other men outwork. It is what it is. Some people are alpha, some people are not. This is not a sexual. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. I think we can all agree we're to a point in time where females kick butt just like males do out in the workforce. Okay, so I'm not even going to get into do not, and I don't want to hear about it. Females and males can be leaders, can run companies, can be employed. Doesn't matter. So just thought I'd throw that out there. But you got to celebrate every little win with your team. I've always been in sales, so it's always been about sales goals, upsells, new customers, things like that. But we would celebrate. I'd set benchmarks and goals. And then on the back end, maybe I had to work a longer day because I cooked the team a meal, or whatever. We had a couple outings, things like that, just to let my team know, what, I do care about you guys. And I understand sometimes life gets busy and business is business, but at the end of the day, I care. From the bottom of my heart, I genuinely care. And I wanted to make sure my team felt that. I would tell them that occasionally, not very often, because I always felt like if you tell your team, I care about you guys, I care about you guys, I care about... No, you don't. No, you don't. I see better than I hear. And if you're telling me that all the time, odds are I'm not seeing it. And I'm not seeing it, and so you keep saying it. I would highly recommend you speak very little about how much you care and go show your team how much you care. There's a massive difference there, and you will see the difference. You will see this shift in your team. So we got the comedy, we got the alpha. The other thing is you're going to need, I always used to call it the mama hen of the group. Again, it could be male or female, it doesn't matter. But honestly, this has always been a female on my team, but not by design. It's just the way it always worked out. That's why I called it mama hen. But somebody that has the best interest of the team, somebody that's so selfless, that's always looking out for everybody, make sure everybody's taken care of. That person's very, very important. That actually, as a manager, that becomes your right-hand person on the team because they talk to everybody. So it's very, very important. And then you can lean on that person to be more vocal in meetings and stuff because everybody's talking to that person. So you can funnel your information to that mama hen to kind of help with the camaraderie of the team. You need your top performer. Sometimes your alpha is not your top performer. Sometimes your alpha is a lot of this. Alphas are important to have, but I would say a dog or a top performer, either one. But you got to have it on your team. Obviously, you got to have it. I mean, that's a no-brainer. But you also need to have, preferably your alpha, but you need to have somebody that's challenging that top person. Otherwise, they lose interest, they get unmotivated, it gets boring. You got to make sure that there is somebody in that room day in, day out that's making them strive for more. Then the last thing that I think is actually important is you need to have somebody on your team that is, I'm trying to think of the geeky, nerdy, however you want to call it. I'm trying to explain a term that you guys would understand what I'm talking about. I would never refer to these people. I mean, these people are very important on your team. I would just call them super intelligent people is what I would call them. But I'm trying to label a name that you guys would maybe understand what I'm talking about. but you need to have somebody that's intellectually extremely intelligent. We live in a time where things are getting breached. We have constant updates, hacks, cybersecurity. There's all kinds of stuff going on in this world, and these people will absolutely take care of you. They know the systems, they understand the way softwares work, and if you can have somebody like that in your room, um, your life is much easier. Think about that though. You have an alpha, you have a top performer, you have a second top performer that's challenging somebody, you have somebody that's funny, you have somebody that's technology smart, and you have a mama hen. Okay, that's 6 people. Now, my people that know me watching, how many routes did I have in Topeka when I started? 6. When I left, how many did I have? I had 8. I grew my business while that company went out. I was growing. I'm telling you guys, this stuff works. They could have left my depot open. We were growing. But, this stuff works. This isn't rocket science. It's just going to take a little bit of investment at the top. It starts with you as the leader. It doesn't start with your team. It starts with you. And I think a lot of leaders get that mixed up. They feel like, well, I'm doing my job. My team isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. Well, they're not doing what they're supposed to do because of you. So fix you and they'll back you up. I promise you. So that is my segment on building a culture. And it is literally one of the single most important things for long-term success. You got to have a culture. Because once this culture is established, you can kind of hire and kind of bring people in and they whip them right in. Because the entire team is bought into the one common goal. I used to have people coming up to me and say, hey, boss man, I so-and-so started and they said this. And I told them, yeah, we don't do that to boss man. Like, that's the kind of stuff that was happening. And it made my job so much easier that I had like 6 or 7, including my warehouse team, I had like 10 people, 10 extensions of Steve, all throughout the building at all times. So it was extremely easy for me. I got a year into my role and I turned around like, man, it's like a well-oiled machine. And I had to stay on top of it. I had to stay disciplined because, yeah, I had built that, but I had to keep it and retain it. That's the other part to that. You can't just let the foot off the gas once you get there. You've got to stay on top of it. It does get easier. It is an easier time than it is building it. But being disciplined, I would almost argue, is more difficult than anything. But you got to stay on top of it. Listen, mentor, celebrate, be kind as a leader. Open door policy. Open door policy isn't enough though. Understand your job title carries weight. Some people are scared to walk through that open door, even though if you're a nice person, even if you're a funny, goofy leader. They are scared because of the job title, and you literally can control the outcome of their career, legitimately. And they know that. So just because you say open door policy, if nobody's coming to your office and asking you questions, get over yourself. You need to go have conversations. Your team isn't comfortable asking you questions. I promise. So as a leader, if you're watching, go look yourself in the mirror. When's the last time somebody came in your office and shut the door and actually had a heart-to-heart conversation, questioned some of the things that were going on within the company? If that has not happened in the last 3 months, you need to go have a meeting with your team. That is all I have today on Building the Culture, guys. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Move Podcast, motivating others virtually every day. This has been a fun trip, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, this has been getting wild. I went and hung out with Ant for a little bit ago. Shot a little video and took a couple pictures. Hung out. Got introduced to another guy, and we got a conference or an event we're going to on next Monday, and I got Brandon and his wife Jess coming in Friday, flying in, so they're gonna come see us, and they're gonna be on here as well. So we have a lot of things just going on down here, and it's all powerful stuff. It's all positive stuff. It's all things. I keep telling my wife, I'm just waiting for you to wake me up and tell me it's time to go to the gym. I'm exhausted. Like, it just doesn't seem real to me. Like, I can't believe it's actually happening. But I truly want to thank everybody for its support of this from the beginning. And wow, we're only getting started. I'm not anywhere close to where I want to be. But it's crazy that we have this much momentum right out of the gate. So truly honored and just humbled, and can't really believe it's happening. So I can tell you, God is good. God is good, guys. So Mind, body, and spirit, be disciplined. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless.